You all know about that famous game in Xbox called Left 4 Dead. I own the PC version of the game. It is a very enjoyable game. About 1 month after the game came out, I found some cheats for the game. After a while, the website that contained the codes for the game got shut down and I was angry. I looked for a while to find another website for cheat codes. I just gave up after looking for a while. I was playing online and I then asked some people if they knew of any websites for cheats, and a user under the name of L4D101 gave me a URL for a website he said was for cheats and such. I was happy and excited. After that, I went on the internet and typed in the URL, and there was a website with a bunch of numbers and letters. After I looked through it, I could not find any real cheats. I then figured the user tricked me and I tried pressing the back button, but the button was frozen and then my computer started to open pop-ups and such, and I had to restart my computer. I turned it back on and I found a file in my computer called Imdead.exe. I was curious to know what was inside the file, so I decided to open it. It began with the Valve logo, but something was different about it. Instead of the normal one, it was a haunted house that had the logo painted in it with red paint. But what was odd was, because in the background you could see a hand coming out of the corner. Not a G hand, but a real hand that looked odd and was bleeding. The game began normally with a loading screen. It took a while for it to finish loading. Then after it finished, I started a game. But for some reason the stage was called Dead Forever, and the picture was a blank white screen. When it began, I noticed my character was more realistic. He looked like he had tears in his eyes. I moved him inside of a building, where I was face to face with a zombie. I had no weapons and ended up getting killed. Then my character appeared frustrated with anger, as I started another game. I then, for some reason, got weapons. Figuring it as a glitch, I went inside the building and killed the zombie. I looked and I saw real brains come from the zombie. I went up and saw an item and picked it up. Not knowing what it was, I selected to use it. The screen became warped and bloody, and a real video was played of a man being killed by a pot shot. I then figured out it was some kind of a whistle to call out zombies. Oddly enough, I turned out to be alive, but I looked to be ripped and tore open in places. My character was crying for his life. I then saw a witch. I snuck up in her and quiet as I could. For some odd reason she heard me and she jumped at me and the screen just became too bloody to make out anything. I knew I was dead. This time the level did not reset. I was ready to turn off the game, when a loud scream played out of my speakers and broke them. It was a picture of me decapitated in the floor with my eyes next to me. Then I saw the words "You're next." I feared for my life and deleted the game off of my hard drive for good. I hid for a while after that. I then went into a taxi to go to the airport. After a while, I wonder what was taking him so long. He was not taking any of the right routes to the airport. After 2 hours I told him he was taking the wrong route. He ignored me and kept driving. Then I noticed he was going a bit faster. I told him to let me out, but he just started to laugh. He then told me that I was next, and he went nearly 100 miles an hour. He did not stop, and I feared for my life and knew I was not going to survive. He told me he was the creator of the game and told me that I had no chance. I asked him why he did it. He told me nothing. I looked up and he was going into a giant power line. I then took my chances and unbuckled and jumped out the door, and the man crashed into the line and the whole thing exploded. The power went out in some places after that. The police came over and said the man was dead. I was happy and the power came on a day later. As for my brother, he found the note with the URL in it and he downloaded it and went through the same stuff I did. No one is trying to kill him right now because of obvious reasons explained, or at least I hope.